Everybody, welcome back to Purplatypus is the name, and welcome to another video about Expedition 33. So why are we looking at Hollow Knight here? Well, we'll get into that. So today, I kind of wanted to just talk about more of the meta of what Expedition 33 is and what it's done and how it might impact stuff going forward. Expedition 33 kind of came out of left field. Now, I had been following it for a while, and I had been excited for it, ready to play it, because I kind of keep up with a lot of JRPGs. However, it definitely seemed like it was going to be maybe a little more niche. There seemed to be a little bit of, swell going on. People were starting to get a little hype. But, I mean, it blew up. So we're going to take a look at kind of what... First, let's talk about how do I know it's blown up? All right, let's talk about that. Then we'll talk about what it means. So why are we showing you Hollow Knight? Hollow Knight is one of the most adored video games of all time, all right? And it is. Hollow Knight's an incredibly good game. Expedition 33 is, I think it is currently, or it was, the highest rated user score of any game on Metacritic. It's at 9.7 with 12,000 ratings. Now, if you go organized by all of the user score ratings, then you're not gonna find it on the Metacritic games list. I don't know why. It's like at number 76. I don't know how they organize it, but this has one of the higher number of user ratings, and it's at a 9.7. And of course, it's critically acclaimed by critics as well. I don't really personally care that much about critic reviews myself. It kind of depends. If I don't know the critic, then I don't really care what they think, because I don't know how they feel about RPGs. But usually user scores are going to be from people that like the genre because they bought the game. It has a higher score than Hollow Knight. And in fact, if you look over here, if we go to pretty much anything, like if we browse all games on PC and we organize it by user score and we go to like the top, I mean, you're still at 9.0 on user score. You're still at 9.1. You're at 8.9 with 754, right? So like if you organize it by user score and you pick pretty much any of these randomly, it's gonna be higher user score rated than pretty much any game you could find possibly on anywhere on Metacritic, which is just honestly incredible. It means that people that, so I think Asmongold said something like this, like critics don't buy your game, right? Critics review your game. The user score are people that spend money to play your game. If the people that are spending money, giving you their money, love the game, that is a very good sign. And 9.7 is absolutely out of this world. 9.0 is crazy good. 9.7 is like, at every point you get closer to 10 is harder and harder, because you can't give it a 9.5 score. You give it a 9 or a 10, which means most people are just giving it 10s, and there's just enough 9s, there's some 9s that are bringing it from down to a 10 to a 9.7 in 13 whatever thousand reviews. Absolutely incredible reception by the players. Second, I want to show you here is it had a all-time peak of 145,000 players. Now, this chart's very interesting for a couple reasons. One, this is not going to be the most impressive chart that you're going to ever see. Like, it's not Schedule 1 where it's a relatively cheap game and then everybody's playing it. And it's not going to hit like the multiplayer Marvel Rivals numbers, things like that. But for a single player RPG, this is an incredible number. And how do I know that? Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, this game hit 46,000 viewers. And this game was, I thought it was pretty big. This was definitely like a big budget game from an established franchise. Metaphor ReFantazio hit 85,000 on PC. And this is coming from the guys that made Persona, or at least some of the team that made the Persona games, right? And this game was incredible. And this only hit 85,000. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, this only hit 40,000. I know this is a re-release. It originally came out on PlayStation, so this isn't like a fair apples to apples comparison in this situation. But the idea is, this game blew all of them out of the water. And this one is actually super interesting as well, is we are currently just about, what, 3 weeks and a couple days after release. And it is, look at this player base. This player base is, yes, it's not at its all-time peak, but this game is roughly 35-ish hours. which, I mean, you can get 60 hours out of it, and some people could beat it in 15, right? But I think 35 is like a pretty good, you're getting through the story, you're doing maybe a little bit of side content. And the very first, so the very first Sunday it came out, or, you know, weekend it came out, it hit 121,000. The next weekend, the next Sunday, it hit a higher peak, and it's still maintaining hundreds of thousands, you know, 100,000 players on some of these days, or approaching it. This is important because most players like me have finished the game. Most of the initial audience has beat the game and is either done with it, moving on from it, or, you know, is maybe still logging in every now and then just to like I open the game to make videos and stuff, but I'm not really playing the game anymore. So a lot of these after this first couple weeks are new players coming in, and so it's maintaining a really, really good sales thing. And how do I know that? Well, if you come here to Steam, it is still 3 weeks later on the Steam's top seller list. It's only beaten by the brand new release, you know, Doom that just came out, Counter-Strike, which is always #1 basically because it's got a huge, I don't even know why, maybe people just download it all the time. I don't know if it's a top seller, maybe it includes in-game purchases, I don't know. Point is, it's always here. And then Clair Expedition 33. This is the only game that has been out. I mean, Helldivers 2 is actually doing incredible to be this high. And these games are all incredible to be this high. But I mean, Clair Expedition 3 weeks later for a single player RPG of 30-ish something hours is absolutely crazy. Also, what I want to point out, Clair Expedition 33, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a $50 game, so not a super premium price game, but still a pretty expensive game, especially when you're compared to other breakout successes. It's the same as Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. And like I said, it's maintaining this big player base. This game is on Game Pass for free. So if you're on computer or Xbox, you can play the game for not free, but you know, whatever, you're 10, 15 bucks a month or whatever. So if you have Game Pass, you don't even need to buy this game. So a lot of people are choosing to buy this game. A lot of people are giving it insanely good reviews, which I lost here. Let's go back to the Metacritic here for this. 9.7 user. I mean, don't get me wrong, 992 critic score is also incredible. In fact, it would be even higher probably if it wasn't for IGN Japan giving it a 70, and this guy gave it a 0, right? Like on for the user reviews. So this is still unbelievable. So why is this game? What is it about Expedition 33 that has made it such a breakout success? Now, I don't have an objective answer. This is just one man's opinion after playing the game. I think most importantly is that this is how you make a game for everybody in the right way. There's a lot of like criticisms about games like, I don't know, Assassin's Creed and other games where they try to make an audience so broad that they catch that it's like they make a game for so many people that it's for nobody. I think this game stayed true to itself in just the right way, where they executed they had a plan and they executed it so well that they made a game that can be for everybody, but without losing its internal vision. So what do I mean where it can be for everyone? It means, first and foremost, how do you get people in the door? The most important thing, maybe not the most important, but one of the most important things, is you got to get people to be interested in the game in the first place. They want to buy it, they want to download it, they want to try it. And where this game truly succeeded was in visuals. The presentation. Right? The game looks beautiful. It's otherworldly. It's interesting. There's like dragons in the sky and weird, like distorted environments. The character designs are very good. So you have a bunch of really cool characters, you know, shout out to Mael here. So you have a bunch of just really well designed characters, a bunch of really well designed enemies with an incredibly strong visual, like aesthetic that is interesting and fun to look at. You have good enemy designs and incredible voice acting. And when you watch a trailer, you're seeing all of this. You're hearing the incredible music. You're seeing the great visuals. Your interest is incredibly piqued by the incredible concept. The idea of this tower having a number on it, and every year it's ticking down and it's killing everyone above that age and above. And your job is to go on this expedition to discover it in this alien world. I mean, who hears that and doesn't want to do that? It's a insanely good concept with insanely good just characters, voice acting. When you see the characters' performances in the trailers, it's very good. And it's so mysterious and dark, and the game is gritty, but the game is also silly. I mean, look at our fucking flying mount, man. This guy is just a giant fat guy that constantly makes weird sounds and dives underwater. You have bald Mime Mael here. You've got Baguette wearing, you know, funny glasses, Lune here. So the game is also in, you got Monaco in a suit. So the game is, yes, it's serious and it's gritty, but it also has fun in it. This is what I think the game really mastercrafted. They managed to get a serious, gritty, dark, compelling concept about death and loss in this world with, like, just, you know, suicide and death and sad. There's really grittiness, but they managed to be, they were smart enough to know that this isn't just a sad story. This game is fun, right? So they added these wacky things that you could see. The mount was the perfect choice, by the way, the way to fly. You can see this and you immediately realize when you're watching the trailer that this game, yes, it's serious, but at the end of the day, it's a video game and you will have fun while playing it. I actually think SKA here is probably the smartest decision they made in terms of marketing for the game. Of course, he's a great character and he makes sense in the game and all that stuff, but showing that a game that is like this can have multiple faces, I think is hugely important. So that's just all in terms of getting people into the game, right? I mean, I think they did an incredible job marketing this game. But once you're in, and this is the other most important thing, is you have to have a good game. Sometimes a game doesn't have good marketing, but it's so good that it can be absolutely a breakout success. And sometimes a game has really good marketing, but the game sucks and then it just kind of, you know, instantly falls off or people don't play it that much. But this game really did get it both. Once you get in, the game just works and it's intuitive and it's fun. I would say it's snappy. It's a turn-based game, but because you're actively playing it with dodging, parrying, and doing active attacks with like inputs, it's like snappy. It keeps you interested and engaged, where you're not just like looking at your second monitor mashing A to get through a normal encounter, which, don't get me wrong, I actually love, but you're always engaged with moment to moment of the gameplay. And this is what I mean, where this is a game made for everybody, but in the right way. Because I am a turn-based player. I would prefer if this game didn't have the dodge parry mechanic, but it's a turn-based game with strategic depth and a level of mastery you can get over it. So it's kind of got everything I want in an RPG. It's got a couple things that I don't want necessarily, but that doesn't take away from the entire experience being as good as it is and engaging and fun. On the other hand, for people that aren't as into the turn-based stuff, it's got a level of mastery, almost you could say Dark Souls-esque kind of mechanic where, you know, you go in, you get the healing elixir, the Estus flasks that replenish at flags. And if you're not very good at, you know, action games, you're able to kind of brute force it with strategic power. And if you're very good at action games, you can go into really hard zones early in the game and beat them with your ability to dodge and parry. So it's kind of a game that everybody, from the slowest turn-based gamer like myself, you know, I like spending 5 minutes to make one move in a Magic the Gathering card game, all the way to, you know, someone that likes Sekiro, one of the fastest paced action games of all time. This game has a good gameplay loop for all of those players. So it's just, they've executed this perfectly for a wide audience, but in the correct way, where it hasn't lost its soul and it manages to be fun for everybody. What's important here is, especially early on, they double down, triple down, quadruple down on the level of the presentation, the acting, the storytelling. You go to see so many incredible things early on in this game when you're playing it. You get to go into these whole, I mean, actually it might look kind of messed up right now because I turned off the fog, but you have this whole area, right, that it looks like you're underwater, but you're not, right? So it's like this, you have tons of interesting visual areas, tons of variety of enemies, and you get to see these, I'm telling you, the acting performances of these voice actors and the animators to do the faces and the little things that they do when they're moving, like at the end of Act 1, you're seeing Gustav like go for a rock or whatever. He's like, okay, well, like, she might be close enough now. Let's throw a rock. He's like, okay, let's check this one. Like the way his hands move, the way his lines are delivered. I mean, it's so good. The acting performances in this game are top notch. The voice acting, the music, it's all there. And I think that's so important because it's really quadrupled down on early in the game. You get to see a range of emotions from anger, Gustav wanting to protect, Mael when he can't find her, sadness when in the very beginning of the game he loses, you know, a ex-girlfriend slash person that he truly loved, but they just, you know, they had a falling out. You see sadness at the point where right after the expedition lands. You see this huge range of emotions and delivery. And so this is getting you as the player very early in the game super engaged. The fact that the game starts and you're in Lumiere and you don't really have that much context for what's going on besides contextual clues. Sorry, you don't have that much like exposition dumped on you. You mostly have like environmental clues. You see people gathering for the gamage. You see all the flowers. You see the number. You know, everyone's like, yep, today's the day. Everyone, you know, you get to learn all this stuff about the world, about characters, and then they're not afraid to just take the characters away in the terms of like his girlfriend, right? And so there's so much, you're so engaged in the game right away. And I think that really helps make this game, people recommend this game to other people, because you're not going to believe how much you care about these characters right away. You don't need to play for 50 hours to get to a point where you're like, oh man, I really like this character. This is awesome. You care immediately. Combined with absolutely exceptional gameplay, I think it's absolutely, they marketed perfectly, and then they paced the beginning of the game absolutely immaculate. I think Act 1 of this game is a 10 out of 10 game. No complaints. I think it's great. Now, I do have my issues with Act 2 and Act 3, right? But that's not what this video is about. I think that is why this game made such a big splash. It's just, it's a masterclass in terms of, I think, marketing and presentation and really executing that early part of the game that's going to get players into it. Now, what does this mean for the industry as a whole? I think number one, I mean, we've seen Metaphor, we've seen Yakuza, they're both successful, but I think this game really showed that the viralness of a game is not just like indie games, multiplayer games, you know, Pokemon knockoffs. I love Pal World, don't get me wrong, but a incredibly well executed single player JRPG, I mean French, but whatever, you know, JRPG style game can go absolutely viral and absolutely make a giant splash. JRPGs are not only not dead, they could be one of the most successful genres that exist. There was a while there, like, where every single like JRPG started to just kind of shift away from being a real JRPG because they were like, people aren't into the slow turn-based stuff anymore. And this game really shows that if you execute a game perfectly, that you can make think a game of any genre that you want and make it well. But even people like Asmongold, who doesn't like turn-based games, this game has been one of his favorite games, right? So I think that this game shows potential, that JRPGs are here to stay and have the potential to go absolutely viral and make a giant splash in the industry. Now, with that said, I have my concerns a little bit about the impact that this could have. Meaning, like I said earlier, I would prefer this game didn't have the dodge and parry mechanics. I have other videos going into that more on my kind of review of the game. But just to summarize it here is I prefer a much more strategic combat system. And I feel like the strategic depth can really take a hit when you have a button on your controller that says, I take no damage. It can kind of push builds towards being, you know, dealing all offense, because you don't really need to worry about defense because you have a button that says defense is taken care of, combined with the fact that it makes it so the enemies have to hit really, really hard because you have the ability to mitigate damage, so they have to punish you for not mitigating that damage. And I think it can kind of be a little wonky in terms of true strategic depth in a game like this. But that doesn't take away from how much fun I had while playing this game. But I am nervous that what this game did, I don't want every JRPG to do. I think Dragon Quest is a great example, Dragon Quest XI, of just a game that executed turn-based perfectly. Final Fantasy X is another example of a game that just really, really honed in on systems. Octopath Traveler 2, these are all games that I think have really good systems that are incredible for strategic depth. And I don't want this game to have such a big impact in that way. I wanted to show the world that JRPGs have what it takes to be one of the biggest genres that exist. But I don't want them to copy paste this. I think the dodge and parry mechanics work so well for this game, and I want to see a series of these games that have that kind of stuff with lots of, you know, basically QTEs for combat. But I don't want every game to take that impact. And I'm afraid this game was so successful that we are going to see a major tick up in those styles of systems, which I'm nervous about, but as long as they're executed well, I'll be fine. But I would like to see true full-on turn-based turn manipulation and things where you really have to worry about defensive builds and healing, as opposed to this game where it's more about just dodging and parrying if you need to. So that is everything I have to say about this game right now. I think this game is absolutely a wake-up call to the industry, showing that JRPGs are not fringe. They have the ability to be one of the absolute biggest genres. I mean, if you just look at gacha games, a lot of gacha games, turn-based gacha games, Honkai Star Rail, right? I think that kind of did the same thing. This is showing that there's a lot of us out there that are willing to spend big bucks on these games. In Expedition 33, I am truly grateful for the team, what they did here to bring my favorite genre into the spotlight of viral success, I would say. Not just normal success like Metaphor, where people that like the genre play it and think it's good, and maybe a few people outside of it try it and think it's good, but really bringing in a whole new group of players from across all kinds of different gaming spectrums into a game that I personally love in my personal favorite genre. So thank you, Expedition 33, for doing that. And yeah, guys, that's all for this one. Much love. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see y'all on the flip-flops. Bye! On the rise, watch the views go.